Hey guys, Newton Cal here, and welcome back to Off Cooldown. Say hi, Cal.
Hi.
Unfortunately, our friend Q is sick right now and he can't join us in tonight's episode. So we'll just keep this episode short and sweet so we won't miss him too much. If you're listening in, Q, hope you get well soon. Tonight's episode is going to be an LFG, where we recommend you the games that we've been playing recently. And what is this game that we're recommending tonight, Cal?
It's Assassin's Creed Valhalla's The Siege of Paris DLC.
And from what I know, you actually played through the entire DLC already, and you even wrote a review about it on Clutch Points. What
Yep.
can you share to our viewers about your experience playing the Siege of Paris DLC?
Okay, so first off, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, The Siege of Paris is Valhalla's second expansion. So the first one was Wrath of the Druids set in Ireland. This time, The Siege of Paris set in, of course, Paris. So it's 9th century Francia.
Yeah,
And then,
Francia.
yeah. So it's based off of the historic Viking raids on the city of Paris. And it was really, I found it kind of fun. It was a lot of what you already know from the base Valhalla experience. So it's a big open world, lots of side quests, lots of secrets, like puzzles, and then people to fight and people to kill. And then, so the story is very political. It's about King Charles the Fat becoming, like, descending deeper and deeper into madness, while the threat of the Vikings, like, surround his city. And then all the politics in between, like warring factions that are fighting each other for control. So it's kind of fun. And since Valhalla is like the most political Assassin's Creed in a while anyway, it kind of fits in. It's also very gritty. And I really, for me, the best thing about this DLC is, okay, the second best thing about the DLC is the atmosphere. So I really liked how it juxtaposed the grim, gritty, plague-ridden slums of Paris versus the countryside of France, which is like full of flower fields and stuff like that. So it was really, really nice to see. What else?
Well,
The my
actually,
most okay. Go ahead.
it's actually funny that a lot of people are just finding out right now that with this game, that the Vikings actually raided Paris. When
Oh,
my brother heard about it, he was like, "Oh, so it's already fantasy this time. They're going beyond what's in the history books." And I was like, "No, it actually happened. The Siege of Paris was an
yeah.
actual historical moment where, if I remember correctly, after Charles the Fat lost. Oh, sorry, spoilers on history. When Charles the Fat bought peace from the Vikings so that they'd stop attacking Paris, it led to his downfall, and
Yep.
it would be because of his fall, the Frankish kingdom would be splintered and divided into different factions and groups, and France won't be united as one entire kingdom or entire empire until the time of Napoleon Bonaparte in 1800s. Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1800 or 1700s. I'm sorry, I only know my medieval history through Crusader Kings. But yeah, so this is actually a focal point, a turning point in European history, and it's actually surprising that not a lot of people knew about the Vikings raiding Paris until now. So it's really nice how video games actually teach histories to some people, even if it's not as overt, or even if some people won't think that it's actually sticking to the historical facts. But it sometimes helps people become more curious. They start googling stuff and wondering whether or not these things actually happen. So yeah, big props to Ubisoft for choosing a really good moment in history to feature in their latest DLC.
Yeah, I think it was a bit unexpected because like the Viking fantasy is always leaving Scandinavia and then raiding monasteries in England, right? So I guess a lot of people will be quite interested in this unique experience. But yeah, I talked about the atmosphere before, and that was my second favorite thing. But my actual favorite thing about this DLC are the black box assassinations. So kind of in the style of the missions from Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Unity. It's like Hitman sandboxy style levels. So you're finally free to assassinate your target in any way you want. You have to investigate clues before you find the right way in and infiltrate the target. There's a lot of like NPCs you can talk to that will give you like different clues on like the routine of your target, where you can find them, like the surroundings and what you can use to kill them. And then if you do enough investigation, you actually get to assassinate the target using a special, like there's a special cinematic that plays. So I don't want to spoil any of them, but there are 5. And then yeah, they're the best part of the DLC by far.
And it's actually sad that this black box missions didn't really carry over to was after Unity Origins, right? Origins, and then we have Odyssey. It's sad that it didn't carry over in those two games because black box, Unity and Syndicate were really buggy as hell, and they weren't really as good as the other Assassin's Creed games. And black box was mostly everything that's going for. It's the only good thing in the entire package, and it's sad to see them go. And it's really nice that they brought it back in Siege of Paris DLC, but it's also kind of like a missed opportunity for them to bring it back entirely, as part of the base game. There could have been a lot of instances where they could have implemented black box missions in the base game and, in Ireland. But I guess that's one selling point of the Siege of Paris DLC that will make some players want to buy this game, especially for those who are fans of Hitman games. If you don't really play Assassin's Creed games but you play Hitman games, you might want to try this one out. Go buy Assassin's Creed Valhalla and just get Siege of Paris and then level up enough so that you'll be able to access the DLC content. And then from there, just do all of the black box missions. And then I think it's well worth the money you'll be spending it on, especially since, Ubisoft games usually go on sale a lot on every platform that they're on.
I think the black box missions are not yet like as varied as the Hitman as Hitman is, but there's no Hitman set in 9th century Francia, so the setting is really what makes it a lot more interesting here. What else? I really think that I agree with you regarding black boxes being a missed opportunity, but I feel like Origins and Odyssey were like a first step into this new RPG Assassin's Creed kind of game. So I'm glad that they're bringing it back for this DLC, and hopefully then future Assassin's Creeds also have it. I mean, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I actually like this RPG direction that Assassin's Creed is going to. And I think that while I like this direction, I feel like they haven't struck the correct balance between being an assassin and just like being a protagonist of an action adventure. So I feel like they need to swing a bit more into the assassin territory.
Yeah,
So yeah,
fans of the old Assassin's Creed games from, Altair and Ezio and Brotherhood and Revelations might not like the direction that the Assassin's Creed franchise is going to right now, because it's less stealth and more open world RPG.
yeah.
If it's actually closer to games like let's see,
The Witcher.
yeah, more like a more fluid Witcher game, a more fluid Skyrim game compared to it being a stealth game like Assassin's Creed. And again, I want to harken back to the black box missions, because if you're a fan of the old school Assassin's Creed games, you'll get your fill from those black box missions. So if you've been a lapsed fan, you might want to get back into the franchise on Valhalla and get the Siege of Paris DLC. But Cal, speaking of future games in the franchise, I think this is a topic for a future episode, but just for everyone's benefit, Ubisoft actually announced that the future Assassin's Creed games will start being live service games.
No.
I'm just not sure if they're going to be free to play like most live service games, but they said that the next Assassin's Creed game will will have evolving content with seasons and stuff like that. To me, I think that they could either hit or miss on this one, because there are a lot of different historical periods and countries that they could explore using this model. They could just move from one country to another, one setting from another, with the season kind of implementation with the live service program. But at the same time, I'm not sure if it's also good for the franchise to no longer have single player single player open world games that don't really need you to be connected to the internet all of the time. Actually, I'm not sure if the Assassin's Creed games nowadays require you to be
On all the time.
on all the
Oh,
time.
I'm not sure. I don't play on PC.
Yeah, well, but I think it allows you to. It just checks for new content at the
Yeah.
main menu, but then when you start playing, I don't think I got any disconnection notices. But yeah, live service games, Assassin's Creed. That's for a future hot take episode. But
Mm.
for now, yeah. Speaking of future, I hope that even if they do implement that live service model for the Assassin's Creed franchise, they still bring back the black box in the future. It would
Yep.
be a shame if they don't implement that.
Yeah, man. I feel like that's one of my big asks for Assassin's Creed. Okay, so I guess let's do some housekeeping now. I'm gonna tell you guys all the new features that are coming
Yeah,
in
new
the Siege of
features.
Paris DLC. Yep. So I already talked about the black box. Another one is, of course, some new weapons. We're getting. I was really surprised that I didn't realize that one-handed swords weren't in the game until the latest update just before the Siege
Yeah,
of Paris.
who needs
So
who needs swords if you have the axes, right? You're a
that's true. I
Viking, you
mean,
don't use a sword much. But it's actually interesting because you
yeah.
actually have opponents in the base game of Valhalla who use a shield and a short sword. And it's really odd
Yeah.
that you can't do the same as Eivor.
Yep. So now we have one-handed swords that came in the update before Siege of Paris. So that's free for everyone. But if you have the DLC, you also get scythes. So they're giant two-handed scythes that are pretty slow but really help in like fighting groups. So yeah, that was pretty fun. You kind of look like a Grim Reaper, like your silhouette kind of looks like a Grim Reaper with a raven. So that's pretty cool. There are also new skills and abilities. One of them is called the Rat Swarm. So this game has rat swarms as an environmental like puzzle kind of thing, and they're very annoying, and they can kill you very easily. So they basically come at you and then eat up your HP little by little if you don't spam attacks. And then so yeah, this new skill lets you summon a rat swarm whenever you hit someone with an arrow with this ammo. So it's kind of gruesome. You just shoot someone and then you see like rats come out of nowhere and then suddenly attack them and everyone near them. So it's kind of rough. And then another one is the Goal Breath, which is a poisoned arrow type that makes the enemy, sick, and then everyone near it will freak out. So that one's pretty common. I was surprised that that wasn't already in Valhalla, but yeah. Another one is the new Rebel mission system. So this is basically like a reputation system for Paris. You just spam small missions in the open world and then you get ranks and get currency. Then there's also like a side story thing about it, but it's a bit tedious and like open world tedium kind of thing. I didn't really enjoy it, but it's there. And then yeah, so the story I already talked about and the setting. Yeah, so those are the biggest new features. There are also a bunch of like equipment, tattoos, hairstyles, stuff like that you'd expect. So
You
yeah.
get new cosmetics as well. It's actually funny, the rat swarm thing that you just mentioned earlier. The game Plague Tale Innocence just came out in the what do you call this? The PS Plus service. And it was also a free game from the Epic Game Store a couple of weeks back. So a lot of people have been playing that game, and in that game, in Plague Tale Innocence, the rats are your enemies, right? And here in Valhalla, they're your pets. Kind of like a gruesome kind of way to call them pets, but they're on your side here. You make them attack enemies, and it's disgusting. But that's what the French get for not showering every day.
Oh my god. I mean, they're kind of an enemy here too, because they're also like an environmental block.
Yeah, but at least you can use them to attack your opponents, right?
Okay,
In
that also works.
But if you're expecting the kind of physics or the rats in Plague Tale Innocence are top tier, different level. You don't compare them to the rats that we have here in Paris. But anyway, if you want to get a copy of the game yourself, Assassin's Creed Valhalla and the Siege of Paris DLC are available on PC, Google Stadia, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series X. The base game retails at $60 and the Siege of Paris DLC comes at $25. If you're like me, you can buy the $120 Ultimate Edition, which already has the Siege of Paris DLC in the Season Pass and the Ultimate Pack, which is bonus Berserkers content. Buying the $120 Ultimate Edition pack was actually dumb for me to do because Ubisoft invited us in a press event to cover the release of Siege of Paris, and they sent us early access codes so that we could play Siege of Paris days before the release. So I technically got the Siege of Paris DLC twice. I asked Ubisoft if we can give away the code instead, so that it won't go to waste. But they didn't allow us to give away early access codes specifically for the media. So instead, they gave us $50 worth of Helix credits for both PS4 and PS5 to give away. Thank you, Ubisoft, for that small gift to our fans here. And for you who is listening right now, you can join the raffle by just heading over to our Facebook page, liking it. It's Off Cooldown or at Off Cooldown if you're looking for the at handle. And like this episode, share it to your friends, and then comment down below which platform you'll play Assassin's Creed Valhalla on. We'll announce our two winners in our next episode, one for the PS4 and one for the PS5. Sorry fams on PC, Xbox, and the two of you who plays on Stadia. We only have codes for the PlayStation versions. And with these Helix credits, you can purchase from the in-game store premium items like cosmetics and a complete map marker, so you can have a map full of icons.
Don't do the icon thing, please.
Cal and I stand in opposite directions here because I actually like it when a map is full of icons. It makes me feel like, oh, the game I bought has lots of content. It's well worth the money I spent it on, because there's a lot of things that you could collect and you see everything on the screen. But some people might argue things like, oh, you can actually just Google it. You can just find all of these icons in a map and then paste it on the wall or put it on your computer and just alt tab whenever you want. But actually, it saves you a lot of time and a lot of hassle by just having all of those icons on your map. But I understand Cal doesn't like that.
Oh, it's not because of like Googling or whatever, because I actually hate opening another application when I'm already playing a game. What I don't like is like it ruins the exploration immersion. So, okay, I'm gonna gush about Ghost of Tsushima for a really short time, but I really liked how that game like just let me explore, and then whenever like there's no mini map. So this open world game has no mini map, and you just walk around, and then as you walk around, it will prompt you like where to go without being obtrusive. So I really like that it feels like I'm actually exploring and I discovered this instead of zooming into a mini map and then just looking at it while I get closer. So yeah, please don't get the icon thing.
Well, actually, if only Genshin Impact had this option, I'd buy it in a heartbeat because you need to know where all of those ascension materials are at all times and whenever they respawn, because they don't respawn every day. Some respawn at 2 days, some respawn every week, and you just have to memorize when they'll be back so that you can ascend your characters. And Cal, I know that you've just started playing Genshin Impact recently to get your Mia, but you'll have to deal with that soon,
Oh no.
Get your ass to Inazuma immediately so that you get the ascension materials for Yoimiya, because you won't be able to level her up if you don't get to Inazuma anytime soon.
I see. Oh no.
And yeah, that's going to be it for our first LFG. We do hope that Q will be well enough so you can be with us next episode. But that's all. Yeah, get well soon, Q. But that's all for now from me and Cal. Good night, folks. Stay frosty, and we'll see you in our next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.